Welcome everyone to the NSE UK Splatoon University League Summer Edition. This is week 2 of the competition. My name is Conro and I am joined today by Sasu. Hi Sasu, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It surely is summer, as you know, regardless of if you're across the pond or not. It is hot, hot, hot. I'm sure our players are feeling it, but hotter yet is the Splatoon we're about to watch, I'd argue.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, I've got to say, I think we're about to go into our third heat wave of this summer, which is, that's just, for us, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. Yeah, it is very, very hot here right now. I can say that much. I know you're probably used to hotter temperatures over there already, but yeah, a lot of our buildings are not designed for this. But yeah, we are getting into the summer edition, week 2 of NSE. There is a slight difference with the summer edition to the spring and the winter one. Alumni are allowed to play, not just students, and also there's no cash prize. Normally there's a cash prize for spring and winter, but because this one's a little bit more casual, there isn't. Now, I haven't really addressed the teams going into this first set, but this is Solent Cardinals versus Anarchists. So this is their 4th Swiss match. These two teams have won all 3 of their previous games. They played the spring finals, which Solent Cardinals won 4-3. So Sasu, this should be a really fun game.
Yeah, not surprising there. I think I myself have heard of these teams, so they're really big in the shout. And looking at their rosters, especially because things are more expanded this time around, allowing for older players, maybe people who aren't currently attending to be here, things are surely going to be super close. And of course, we start off with Mahi Mahi Turf, and a lot of these teams are just going to be positioning themselves to kind of get their splats so that they can be in a good place when the time does tick down.
Yeah, of course it is tough. Or we do often see teams kind of dominating for a lot of the game and then just kind of folding in the last 30 seconds and giving it away. But Anarchists have come out pretty strong. There are some very recognizable names. I mean, pretty much everyone on this team. We've got Nebula, who is a UK champion. Doesn't play the game too much anymore, but they do like coming back for NSE. We have Snipes on backline, who is one of the best UK players. We have Tame, who is a very good frontline, who I think has kind of recently come back to the game properly in comp. And Rhythm is a solid slosher as well. On the other side, we do have Yosho. I think they go by Star Yoshi in this, but Yosho, again, one of the best UK players. And they also have Wither, who is a they normally play Dapple, I think, because it's Turf War. They're not playing it right now. They play the reslider Dapple, and they are very good at just getting in the opponent's face. But we do see in Turf War these the comps do change a little bit just because of the nature of Turf War. And Anarchists are still like very much holding down Solent Cardinals. We've got Sock on the Wiper, just holding ground. They don't want to get splattered there by Rhythm, who is pretty much just spacing them out on that slosher. They don't have to do much with that.
Yes, and of course, this being Mahi Mahi, at that halfway point, we got a little bit more turf to get inked down on. So both of these teams a little bit focused on getting those done, but also holding their ground. We're in the final minute here. You have, I think, Yoshel here just going down, being the last person from their team. So that is going to end up being a delayed wipe, and already Anarchists are pushed up to the enemy spawn while you have the backline just taking up the rear, getting that paint down. Everyone then realizing we're going to the last 30 seconds. If you ask anybody, these are the seconds that matter the most. So the chumps come out, giving Solent Cardinals a little bit more turf there. But right now, both of these teams are going to have to lock in and make sure they don't get splatted, which is especially bad, seeing as though a wipeout happens here in the final 15 seconds, Conroe.
Yeah, that was poorly timed with the commentary there. That was a wipeout right at the end of this game. Anarchists honestly have been in control for most of this, and they will remain in control despite a little effort by Yoshel there just to go into the other team's spawn to offer a distraction for the rest of their team to get in. But it wasn't enough against Anarchists, who quite confidently take game 1 there of Turf War. I should say with the previous 3 tournaments were almost all won by Anarchists. So Solent Cardinals won the spring one, but summer last year and then winter the following one, Anarchists won both of those. And the one that Solent Cardinals won last time went to like game 7. It went all the way. It was a thrilling grand final in spring, but Solent Cardinals did break their streak. But Anarchists, it may be the summer one, it may be a bit more casual, but they say no. We're gonna take our title back straight away. That's what they're here to say today in this Swiss match between the two.
Listen, as you may or may not know if you are tuning into NSE for the first time, the first point in this best of 5 is going to be a best of 3 of Turf War. You can see on screen the legal map modes that we have available. And so Anarchist's at advantage. If they win this next turf game, they get the first point in the set. Really, seeing as though Turf War is so much shorter than a regular game, really nice to put that in the bank and keep it pushing right off the top. 2 Turf War games, you don't have to worry about all the difficulty of some of these other modes. And you can just kind of take the first game. So I think Anarchists being at advantage here are definitely obviously hoping to close off this best of 3 with taking that point.
Yeah, definitely, and it is all counter picks as well. I think the alpha team gets to pick the first map, and then whoever loses the previous map will pick the next one. So it is Solan Cardinals to pick, and they have picked Robo Ramen for game 2 in this Turf War set. And yeah, as you said, it's kind of so it's I think Nintendo tournaments like doing this a lot, where it's best of 5, but the first game is a Turf War mini sets where it's best of 3. So we all get to play a little bit of Turf War before we go into the ranked modes. And yeah, sometimes Turf War can be shorter, sometimes it doesn't. If you know, the ranked modes can end quickly if one team dominates early. But yeah, Turf War, you're stuck in the 3 minutes. It's not dynamic. You're here for 3 minutes no matter how it's going. But I mean, it can feel better sometimes because you know if you're being they're on top of you the entire game, and you can just take it back at the end. So you know, there is that dynamic about Turf War that's interesting.
I mean, we've all been in a Splatfest where we are just being dogged on the entire time. The other team moves wrong for just 2 seconds, and in the last 15, you end up taking that times 333 straight from out of the enemy team's noses. So really, it is sort of down to the buzzer when it comes to Turf War. And obviously, outside of NSE and Nintendo tournaments, you don't get to see Turf War all that often. So it's really exciting that these teams can kind of sharpen their Turf War skills and get a little bit of gameplay in this less played mode.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's also a bit nicer for the more kind of casual players because, of course, this is a university tournament, so not everyone is a Yoshel or a Snipes. There are people that just kind of prefer, like playing the game and are more familiar with Turf War. We have seen a few sets where like one team will take the Turf War mini set and on that point, but then they kind of struggle on the ranked mode. So you know, it is a slightly different game, especially compared to all the others. You know, the whole map is the objective, as they say. And we go into Robo Ramen and Yoshel. This is the Solan Cardinals map pick, and it started very well. Yoshel staying on this L3 with the Inkjet. 3 players down on Anarchist early here. It's just the pencil, so they're probably going to get a caller pretty quickly, but it is Solan Cardinals, Sasu, that will take an early control.
That's especially going to be huge here because this is such a big place. So sending everybody down to spawn gives you the time to move forward and put that paint down. You have a Rhythm here on the Brella, a very rare pick just in general, sending out those strikes, getting that paint down, and Sock at the side, making sure that no one comes up that flank and paints this under section. Robo Ramen is a very kind of vertical map in that you have flanks that just kind of layer on top of each other, so it's easy to get stuck fighting on the top layer and getting your paint down there. But I think having weapons like a wiper that are a little bit more mobile that you can see on each team's is definitely going to help to make sure they don't leave any stones unturned here.
Yeah, definitely. And it's an important pick there from Yoshel on Tame, I think, who was just trying to push up. And Rhythm, as you said, they're on the Brella. I don't think I've ever seen Rhythm on the Brella. I only really know them as a slosher, and I quite like slosher here, but I guess it's just a pick for the mode as well, probably. And it's Solan Cardinals were backed up for a little bit there, but they are able to kind of bring it back in. It's worth saying they don't have a backline, and Snipes is on pencil, so if they kind of get wiped here, it'll be a really big chance for Snipes to push up in a position where no one on Solan Cardinals can like get to him because there's just so much more range. I think this might happen right now, to be honest. They have been able to push up Nebula on the Nautilus, which is absolutely what they were known for back when they played more comp. do get a pick on Yoshell, and they're called, of course, so they're going to be straight back in. It's another issue as well. Anarchists have a caller. Silent Cardinals do not. So if they go down without a caller, you know, they don't have that option. They're just going to get splattered, and they're going to get that respawn time.
Yeah, it's seeming as though stabilizing is just way harder on Silent Cardinals. Not having that backline available, not having a caller. You have Yoshell just taking them down in basically what Nozzle Nose is sort of used for in cycling a lot of those inkjets. So everyone just kind of fighting around. 10 seconds left. We have this 2v1, not going to end well, as you can imagine, but it seems as though Silent Cardinals getting 2 people down in these final seconds have been able to take more turf, but Nebula in the enemy spawn, sending out that rain at the last second too. Honestly, this looks like a nail biter.
It does. It looks very close, but it is. Anarchist to hold on. Very important push there at the end by Nebula. I was just thinking, like, if they take out Nebula, that's game, but they just weren't able to do it. I think Yoshell or someone was dealing with snipes instead. But yeah, Nebula got a very important pick, just kept painting up on the other side of the map. Yeah, 3% in it. Not a bad counter pick from Silent Cardinals. A much closer game than Mahi Mahi Resort. But it is Anarchists that take the second Turf War game, and hence game 1 of the best of 5 set.
Yeah, really good to have your kind of foot in the door there, especially because everything is counter pick based. Getting that first point makes it so that if it even goes to a game 5, you get that final pick. So a lot rides on these Turf War games. You can see here, back to Mahi Mahi. Definitely nice to see considering how hot it is in real life. Just really strong showing from Anarchist. I think in the middle of everything, it was looking a little bit more evenly matched, but I have to shout out Nebula in general. I think that as much as we say in Turf War, it all comes down to the last 30 seconds. You don't want to go down in that time. Sometimes what really matters is who is up. You might get a lot of your splats, but if you're not splatting the correct people, i.e. perhaps Nebula, you're going to find yourself in trouble.
Yeah, they are just so good on that Nautilus. I mean, yeah, back in the day, they were an absolute menace on that thing. You know, top 10x rank, UK champion. If we're only taking official tournaments, I guess they are still the UK champion. Although we don't really consider there was another UK tournament that happened, and we kind of considered the winner of that. But yeah, officially speaking, Nebula still has that at least. I don't even remember how long ago that was. The official UK champs. We need a NA league over here, NA league style. We need UK league or EU league, EU league. But yeah, so the rest of the Turf War is always game 1 here, and then every week the other maps kind of switch order. So this week, game 2 will always be tower control, and of course it is a counter pick again for Silent Cardinals. They're probably already familiar, to be honest, with how Anarchists play, what their comps are. Are they going to base a decision on that? Well, there we go. We have it. They are going to Tower Hagglefish. And I mean, I made a joke with a streamer just before we started about Tower Hagglefish because we see it so much, literally in this game. It's like everyone loves Tower Hagglefish, so we're going to go there again.
I guess I'm not everyone. You couldn't pay me. I am not going to Hagglefish Tower. I mean, I think a lot of people pick it because people would argue that tower control in general is a very snowbally mode, but I think that there are certainly some places that are a little bit more guilty of snowballs than others, and Hagglefish is certainly one of them. Once you hit there's the second checkpoint, which is going to be the most contentious under that right drop, where it's very easy to defend, so breaking past that is difficult, but once you get after that, you're basically made in the shade. Third checkpoint is practically GG's.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it is, I mean, quite often on this map, that second checkpoint is just so difficult to go through. It's actually like, I feel like you don't get too many KOs unless it's just, you know, completely one-sided. I mean, yeah, even after the second checkpoint, it's quite difficult because the defending team can just kind of come out spawn to the left from their point of view, and they've got a bit of protection from tower. But yeah, as you said, getting past that second checkpoint is the toughest. The attacking team, they just have to have someone go up there, top right. Otherwise, the push probably isn't going to get anywhere. They're probably going to get stopped. So, maybe Solent Cardinals have a specific plan for that. They have 8 players on their roster, quite a big roster from Solent Cardinals. Yeah, I don't recognize all of these names. Wither and Yosho, from what I remember, are definitely the two kind of stalwarts of this team. I can imagine Wither is now going to switch to something like an aggressive weapon that he's more comfortable on. Maybe get really chaotic on those Dapple Jewelies. They like the one with Reef Slider and Torp, so they might switch to that for the ranked modes. Anarchists, will they change anything? Possibly not. I mean, they had a pretty good comp already. Rhythm is probably going to go back to the Slosher here, though.
Yeah, I have to imagine a more conventional weapon. Also with those GG strikes to sort of end the game, we do have a switch not to our expected Slosher, but instead to the Comet's Octobrush, which is going to have a Kraken, which is a little bit GG in itself. You kind of pop that and clear everyone from the tower. And on the other side, we are seeing a lot of switches, actually. A practical complete overhaul. We have a Forge, which I myself love to see, along with Dapples for a cooler option, and a Wiper Deco, which you don't see often either.
No, you don't. But I don't mind the pick. They've got beacons and they've got missiles, which is always good just for moving snipes. Rhythm. I mean, I mentioned that I've only seen them on Bucket, but they pick Brush, and I immediately remember they do play this Brush as well. I remember them playing it last time, but they get a really nice double there with the Kraken, and this is very quickly going Anarchist's way. They are through the first checkpoint, and they are going to make their way to the second. As we said, someone on top right already, Nebula, is fully guarding that, so they can't go that way unless they challenge their really strong Nautilus, and Nebula gets a pick on Sock. But elsewhere, Spookster and Yoshel go for the tower. Yoshel is the only one alive. They're going to punish the jump just about by Tane. That was smart. I don't know if maybe they knew that they kind of had an inkling, no pun intended, that there was going to be a super jump up there, quickly getting up there and taking out Tane. So, I mean, the score is 36, but they haven't actually broken that second checkpoint. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, and it was looking pretty bad when things were happening, but I think Anarchists, they had that strong push. They were in the right places. Nebula here has that flow aura activated, but Solent Cardinals, I feel like the way they just kind of squatted up was really strong. They knew they couldn't make their way onto the normal defending spot under that tent. So instead, they flanked the tower and took everyone down from behind. But despite the fact that their defenses are really strong, you cannot win a game on pure defense. Obviously, you have to push. I think that's where that Booyah Bomb coming out of the Forge is going to help them with taking that space. But when the dust settles here, you see that Anarchists still have control of mid, and Solent Cardinals just don't seem to be able to get off of their back foot.
Yeah, they seem to be, I don't know if it's just because they're getting splattered a lot, but they definitely seem to be struggling for paint against this team. The Anarchists have, well, first off, a pen, which is just very good at painting. The Nautilus isn't too bad either, and they have a Wiper, which can very quickly just kind of strafe and cover some decent ground. Yoshel is, again, just guarding this top area on Solent Cardinals' team, just going to try and stop Anarchists from pushing there. They've lost 2 players, though. I think, Yoshel actually went down. It's just the Wiper now, and Rhythm is able to cover this area. Sock wisely backing up just to use their missiles as the rest of their team comes in. Are those missiles going to be able to do anything? Not really, although Wither gets a very important pick on snipes just to keep this game going, but they're the only one alive. They have to live right now. The Torp is going to force them back. They are getting through the final checkpoint. Is this going to be it? Tane tries to push ahead just to force some picks. They are going to be able to stop it, but that is a very strong push. They need to rush down snipes. With these weapons, I want to see some more rushing from the Dapple and the Brush. They have to be getting in Anarchist's face with this comp, and they are doing it. Yoshel is going to punish some jumps here. That's a double and a pick elsewhere, and it's just Tane on the Wiper, and they have to stay aggressive, and they are.
You are completely right, Conroe. The fact that Stolen Cardinals are backless means that they're going to have to dive the opposing team and dive them hard. They are down not just having one back, but a lot of range. I think they're kind of getting a little bit outpainted because they're up against a Nautilus that can throw out rain and walk with it. Obviously a pen that can stand wherever they want and chip them out. And the only way to really combat that is to make sure that they keep down and they can't respond to your level of aggression. So a few people down, Yoshell is kind of keeping their space on that right, popping the Booyah, no doubt to maybe just make things a little bit difficult for the people in mid. We're approaching the final 30 seconds, but all of these 1v1s are happening. Stolen Cardinals have to come out on top if they hope to kind of keep their dream alive. They're able to go towards that tent section, but I think with this hammer and with the aggression, 2 of their members down, it's looking dim for them.
Yeah, it is. They are 2 down again. They're going for a flank, but Rhythm was Rhythm versus Wither. Almost the same thing. It's a bit of a tongue twister there, but Rhythm does win on the brush. And Yoshell knows at this point they do pretty much just have to rush tower, and they are not going to be able to do that. Tower sits in the middle. Anarchists with another pretty strong showing there to go 2-0 up against the team that beat them in the last season's grand final.
Ooh, they're really going to have to lock in if they want to get essentially this reverse sweep, because Anarchist winning this has put them on set point. So we'll take a little look at the replay. Really, Anarchist had pretty strong control over everything practically the whole game. I think there were some bright spots from Stolen Cardinals where they kept control of everything. They looked practically dead to rights, but they were still able to group up with very little paint and space and still stop them from knocking out. So I think that's mostly what we kind of see here in these replays.
Yeah, they were able to at least stop the KO, but just, yeah, I think just mentioned earlier that they do struggle with paint a little bit. They don't have too much range because they don't have a backline. I failed to notice the entire game. Wither was actually on the cooler Dapple for this one, not the Reef Slider one. I'm not sure how kind of useful the callers are. The thing is, when Wither plays caller, he's mostly just confirmed it himself because, of course, he is a Dapple. That's just how that's likely how they're going to do it. And for the one push they did have, they weren't quite able to get anyone top right. It's just like I feel like with this comp they're running, it's very difficult against these good players on Anarchists to do anything, and it might just be that they're just playing the weapons that they're really comfortable on. So you know, there's no point in switching to a backline weapon if you can't play it. That's just going to be worse. But yeah, they're going to have to find a way. And we're going to splat zones now. So the paint issue it might appear again unless they can kind of continue their strat and just go all in on, you know, diving at them so that they don't even get a chance to paint the zone. And the fact that they've picked Mako Mart makes me think that might be the plan. Now I have to wonder if the slosher comes out here.
Being though as though we're on Mako Mart, AoE really is king here. There's a lot of ledges, a lot of places for people to stand, and especially when you're up against that pen, you're gonna want to have some sort of way that you can ledge them and displace them so they're not able to just chip everybody out from their perch, I'd argue. And the Nautilus is particularly strong here. I also play heavy at it, and I don't like playing it here because you have to drop your charge every time swim up any sort of ledge or stack, and Nautilus of course can storage charge, get up there, throw its paint, immediately gun you down when you're just sitting there. It just pops up and you're done. So I think there's actually going to be a lot of difficulty that goes in here, and I have to wonder, Stolen Cardinals, when you look at their specials that they had, a lot of them were sort of universal. You have missiles, I think on that ink brush you have the killer whales, and versus Anarchists, they have like a hammer, they were running Kraken, a lot of things that can kind of get rid of you right in your face. So I wonder if we have a little bit of shift of weapons to compensate for more AoE on this place, or some special shifts as well.
Yeah, the special kind of the composition of the specials, as you said, was they don't really have any super aggressive kind of I guess entry tool specials. I mean, they can kind of, killer whale can definitely get you in, and missiles can because they can move them, but you don't have any kind of I like to call them kind of devastating specials, the ones that will
Hmm.
just very quickly take them out. Zuka, Inkjet if you're a good shot, or even Reef Slider. I kind of wanted what's Wither on here actually? Is Wither on that the Julies? Yes, they are on the Jewel. Okay, so they got Splashdown now. It's something. It's not Reef Slider, but more range as well from the regular Julies than the Dapples. Still no backline. Snipes has actually switched to the Dynamo, which I can actually understand here. Well, I can understand it because they've got two. They've got two picks very quickly, and they've got a third now. They've already got flow state, and they are pushing ahead immediately. They're just going to flank on that Dynamo. They jump back. They let Tame do it instead.
Yeah, sometimes you as a flanking dynamo, everyone goes, "Oh, free food," and then you jump out, so you take everyone's attention, and you're kind of nothing for it. But you see three members go down. I think the only person being left, I was gonna say, is that Brella. They send out those strikes to try and keep the zone, and they do so successfully. The splashdown comes out along with the hammer, giving them the zone back, all the while they're being flanked, but being able to turn around, see that paint, and just get rid of that person. Really good play. Mesmerizer on the side here, just putting that paint down, getting a pick, but ultimately going down themselves. And so far, this is looking way more competitive than the prior games.
Yeah, it definitely is. Oh, I don't know if Yosho spotted Rhythm, but they do now. Nice pick from them. Solent Cardinals really showing up for game 3. They are playing to stay in the set as they are 2-0 down. The BR bomb is ready from Yosho, staying on that pro. Not a bad pick, honestly, into the weapons they're running. Just about, I don't know if it outranges a Dynamo, but it's way more comfortable fighting a Dynamo on the pro just from that range it offers. But Snipes is still being an absolute menace on the Dynamo. It's just such a strong pick. I mean, I said about the range from the pro, but honestly, everyone else is really going to struggle against that Dynamo. You're going to struggle to get even a trade with it because it just has so much range. It has switched back to Anarchist in control, although Snipes has gone down. I think that is going to be the play. Just kind of rush them and throw bombs at them. I think they got 2v1s there. Nice pick. Spookster, I actually, what side of the map are they on? I don't actually know. I've completely lost track of what side they're on, but control in the hands of Anarchist, although they do have the penalty time back on Solent Cardinals in a bit of control for now. Rain coming out. It's a nice rain over that stat. They're all kind of bunched up over there. They're just behind the rain. They're all going to have to back up. The BR bomb comes out from Yosho. They don't really have anyone to follow it in. I think that's going to be, it's going to be way better for them if they can have people to follow in on those BR bombs. I think some of them are being thrown out and they don't really capitalize on it, and that might be better for them. But I mean, they're still doing well. The penalty time's going down. They have lost a player, so they might lose this. Oh, it's hammer versus hammer now. Throwing the hammer at the zone just to try and keep it. It has switched over, but everyone's still alive. Never mind. No one. Everyone is not alive anymore.
Yeah, I think that actually, especially with the switch onto the splash that has the rain on it, it feels like it's all about the rain. Usually you kind of throw that Booyah Bomb and you take the space that it's displaced, but I think in this case it's kind of being used as damage control, sort of like a keep away. If I throw this, that allows people to just kind of be displaced for a while, and we can't necessarily follow up with it, but it is what it is. And speaking of which, that wipeout on Solent Cardinals is going to make things super difficult for them. They don't have any paint at all. A trade there happens with the Dynamo, and no one is in zone to paint over it. So that does end the set with Anarchist sweeping 3-0.
Yeah, it does. They just needed a few more seconds at the end there, I think, because Wither was able to drop right, take out Snipes, and take out another, but there was just not enough time left on the clock to bring it back. And yeah, there were a few times in that game where Solent Cardinals did get the picks, but I think either they were losing players themselves, so they couldn't kind of push on it, or they were just allowing Anarchist to jump back in, so they kept the pressure up. It was a much better effort. I think Wither did better on the Julies with Splashdown, because, Splashdown it's not exactly the same as a Reef Slider, but you can just use it, and you can sometimes just get two or three picks from it. And it happened at one point there towards the end, and that's when I thought the zone was going to get flipped back, but that it didn't, and that's when Anarchist just kind of rode it to the end and won the set. But yeah, very fun game. Definitely the closest game of the set. Very nice pick by Snipes on the Dynamo. I don't know if I've seen them on it too much. Clearly they're good on it, and I feel like it was probably a pick into their comp as well, Southern Cardinals, because they didn't have a backline, and Dynamo just kind of wreaks havoc.
Especially on a place like Mako Mart. I know if I queue into a Dynamo, I have some words. I'm not happy about it. If I'm on Mako Mart, maybe I rage see or something to that effect. But definitely both of these teams being so strong, not dropping any other sets. It was going to be a clash of the Titans, but the fact that Anarchist really kind of showing their mettle and sweeping this entire set, not even allowing a game in that first turf war point of the match, really just shows how strong and dominant they are in this league.
Yeah, they definitely want to get back to winning ways, as in tournament winning ways, because they have won 2 of the last 3, only denied by this team last time. But they're making a statement with this set. We might see these two teams play against each other again in Swiss, because this format kind of allows teams to play each other again. I don't think they can the same week, but this edition only has 13 teams. The summer one tends to be a bit more low key, so I think that's why they let the teams play each other again, because they play 9 Swiss matches. But well done to Anarchist. They are now the only team that hasn't lost a set in the Swiss stage. Still a long way to go. Still 5 Swiss rounds to go, 2 of which are coming up tonight. I think the next one will be in about 10-15 minutes as it's scheduled. But yeah, I guess we'll go to a quick break, and we'll be back soon with match 2 of the night.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to NSE UK Splatoon University. I'm Saucy here with Conroe, and we're going to be taking a look at Jorvik versus Portsmouth Palisons. I got there.
Yeah, you did. Jorvik Ducklings versus Portsmouth Palisons in round 2 of week 2. So it's kind of Swiss round 5, if you like. Yeah, some common names here, Yoshi and which I'm aware of on Jorvik. Some of the roster names here are, as worth saying, don't kind of match what's in the game, but I do recognize a lot here. I think each team has a player from Saturn's Rings. A lot of people from UK will know who that is. I don't actually think Oren is active anymore, but they used to be on Saturn's Rings. Portsmouth Palisons also have Sneaky, Tabri, and Duditude, who are pretty much just mainstays for a Portsmouth team. Yeah, Portsmouth this season, they only have one team. That in spring and winter they tend to bring like 3 or 4 full teams of players. I don't know how they do it. It's like a comp central in Portsmouth University. But for this summer edition, they've just got the one team called Portsmouth Palisons. Jorvik Ducklings are always in the tournament as well, but we're going to go straight into game 1. Turf War again and Mahi Mahi Resort again. It's exactly the same map mode that we started on as before. We do again see a Dynamo after Snipes was using it last time. The gold Dynamo this time though, gold Aerospray. There's actually an Aerospray on both teams. Of course, Duditude is pretty much a silver Aerospray main, and that is what they'll be doing the entire game, just charging up Reef Slider and using it.
Yeah, these teams, Jorvik Ducklings is definitely going to have to be very careful about that. Of course, they've got that Aerospray of their own, going to probably just farm those Booyah bombs, maybe have their teammates with their hands off the control, spamming that Booyah for them a lot of the game. But I think especially a well-placed Reef Slider at the right or wrong time, depending, can really be devastating on a mode like Turf War. But you see here 2 going down, make that 3. It's just the Brella that's up. They send out or rather they're holding on to the special. This looks like the Sorella Brella, so they're going to have Inkjet. That Inkjet comes out accordingly. They are forcing everyone into that right corner. They get a splat to boot, make that 2, and I think well worth the wait for that Inkjet.
Well held by Yoshi there. Good. Well, that's what you want from your anchor player, just punishing anyone that tries to take them out. They definitely could have gone down to that Stamper, but they do win the fight. Yeah, really good Inkjet there from Tabby. I'm loving the amount of Inkjets we're seeing in Turf War. It is this commentator's favorite special. It's so fun to use. It needs to be in the meta. It's not quite right now, I don't think. They need to buff that thing. But if you can hit directs, it doesn't matter, and that is exactly what Tabri did twice to make way for Portsmouth Palisons to come back in after they were put on the back foot at the start of the game. On this map, of course, halfway through the floor has come down. There is more to paint. Tabby's Inkjet is out again, but that's a good punish from Aardvark on the auto shot, who is going for Sneaky now, using an Tri-Strike in a bit of an awkward place, but they did actually have the protection from that wall, so that wasn't actually too bad. Just using Tri-Strike to protect themselves. Sneaky tries to shark, I think, on the Stamper, but they go down as well. Good work, really good recovery as well from Jorvik Ducklings now to come back in. 2 players down. I think Aardvark got the aura just before going down, and Yoshi has to jump. So even though they have players down there, I think Jorvik are again on the back foot, Sassy, with 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, this is probably one of the you have to be, because not only do you have to break back into mid, Goose trying to do so by protecting themselves with that Booyah, but not quite gonna pan out due to just running everywhere and getting that paint down. But breaking into mid and then on top of that getting the paint requisite to in the game is difficult. Duditude with that signature Reef Slider, but it's not going to matter. A wipeout at the last second, despite those chumps that were being sent out, is just not going to be enough. And I think very handily, we do see a winning out here. Like, I think once you wipe out with that much time left, it just kind of is GG's, unfortunately.
Yeah, it definitely is. Some bit of back and forth between the teams at the start there, but Portsmouth Palisons were able to get a foothold on that game eventually and take it. So they are 1-0 up in the Turf War mini set, in which will be game 1 of this whole best of 5 set. Yeah, Jorvik and Portsmouth Palisades. We haven't really touched on it yet, but normally in NSE tournaments, the top cut is the top 8 going through the Swiss bracket. Week 4 and 5 are kind of both, top cut weeks for them to play. But because there are only 13 teams, I think, for this one, top cut is actually going to be top 4, which is quite a big reduction. I'll be very surprised if Anarchists and Solent Cardinals don't get there at the very least. So but third and fourth spots are going to be really open. Like, I think it's going to be very competitive for these spots. These 2 teams have won 2 matches out of 4. Portsmouth Palisades were 2 wins out of 3, but they just lost a game 5 to Section 8, who are one of the teams that are real contenders for that third and fourth spot. Jorving Ducklings had won 1 match, but they just beat Glasgow Glowflies, so they've come up and they're on 2 wins as well. Side note, by the way, Glasgow Glowflies, I don't know if this is right, but their roster on the NSE site has 18 players. I think they've turned up for like a football roster. They're just they have a full.
Yeah, it's like a math check. I'm like, how many teams is that? Like 6
it
or
could
something?
be 4. Yeah, it could be 4. I'm hoping it's real when they all play. Like, they all get like 1 match between.
Just to rotate, it's all new people. Honestly, that's a good strategy to have. No one can really rest on their laurels, and they say, okay, we're playing against a leader. No leader next game. You never know. But I think the counter pick coming out of Jorving Ducklings is going to be Robo Ramen. So we're going here again. Maybe it's the verticality that makes really attractive place for these teams to be counterpicking, but I think there's a lot of space to maneuver. And I think the other thing, having these flanks, it means that when you do end up in that wipeout position, you don't feel quite as out in lockout to be pressed to go under. A choice to like drop right or drop left and then get to mid that way, or even have sort of sneaky complete flank, stay on that right, and everyone who's fighting in mid is wise.
Yeah, pretty much. Robo Ramen is definitely a little bit kinder, I think, coming out of spawn, because you can kind of immediately go left as well. It can kind of depend on how far up they actually push, because you can probably get to spawn a little bit quicker than you can on Mahi, but yeah, it's a little bit wider, and in the middle especially. I mean, it's so difficult to kind of get to the other team's spawn in the first place. I mean, it's quite similar to the ranked modes as well. Splat zones, you can control the zone, but it's just a whole other ball game trying to get that little spot. A lot of people call it the elbow. Just kind of past the zone, because it's so easy for the other team to kind of pre-fire it and just throw bombs, and like you've got to take it without. Yeah, it's really a choke section, and you've got to take it without getting splattered yourself, because if you get splattered, they're just going to come back in, which, it can be very kind of stalematey, but it makes tough more interesting. I mean, it was a close game here last match, of course, between Anarchists and Solent Cardinals. There was only 3% in it. This is Jorving's counter pick, so maybe they have a plan here. I think Yoshi is just a ballpoint player. I don't actually remember if Portsmouth Palisades had a backline from the last game. I probably should have spotted that, but I don't think they did. No, they're not. I mean, they don't have one there. And of course, the other team has a Dynamo and the BP. So for range, they're fine. So like, if they can use that range effectively, I can see this being a good counter pick for them.
Absolutely. And I think also both teams having an inkjet is going to serve them well here. If you are backed up into your own zone, I think having that verticality and just raining down on people can be really useful for them. But you see already 3 members going down for Jorving Duckling. Just going to be Goose on the junior, who's trying to drop on that far left for them, but immediately gets checked by Duditude. So having to back up there. And I think right now they're already struggling to get into mid. They send out those strikes to kind of give them a little bit more space, displace the players on Portsmouth Palisades. But ultimately, it just seems as kind of congested, especially with this active Sorella Brella on the inkjet. It's just kind of giving them very little to breathe. They're using the verticality here. You have under here Goose trying to make something happen, but It just feels like Portsmouth, they are like watching them like a hawk. There's just no entryway mid.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I said about the range, but it hasn't helped them so far in this game. It's just been very solid from Portsmouth Palisades. They've been playing together. You know, they've been playing for the specials. You know what? I've actually just noticed Duda is not on the Aerospray. They're on the orange zap with Chumps. I mean, I can absolutely understand that pick on this map. We've said about, you know, the choke points, and Super Chumps just really helps to clear it out, whether it's your elbow or theirs. It just can be a really nice tool just to quickly paint, and then, you know, they have to deal with the Chumps as well. Huge pick from Duda as well. They could get a second, helped by a teammate for that one. It's just the Dynamo Copper, and they're just surely going to go down because they are mid. They do get a pick on Sneaky before going down, but Jorving Ducklings really just kind of have to play together here. They do have the tools to get back in. They do have Tri-Strikes, they have a Whale, they have Inkjet, and they have Wavebreaker. It's a really nice spread of specials if they can use them effectively. You know, start with the Inkjet, get the Whale online as well just to go in. The Dynamo needs to stay alive, and they just about do, but Sneaky could ruin everything with the hammer, but they get punished, although the Octashot tries to just counter and go in quickly, and it's all going wrong again for Jorving. They've lost to Yoshi. Suddenly their Inkjet has just absolutely popped off. I don't know if they got 3, but they are already, all of a sudden it's only Tabri.
Yeah, we're seeing a bit of a dogfight. We're heading into that all-important 30 seconds, and you see that is boldened a lot of the members of Jorving Ducklings. They are just sending out those strikes, getting that flow aura, and now at the last second, it's Portsmouth who seems like they are on the back foot, but just as has been done to them, they really counterattack that, get 3 of the members down, and despite that sort of final push, I think just not enough time for them to get that paint down. So Portsmouth Palace is going to take this first point with a 2-0 in Turf War.
Yeah, it's looked pretty convincing in the end. I mean, I'm not quite sure what happened there from Jorving Ducklings' perspective, because they had 3 down, and it might have been kind of a delayed wipe on to Portsmouth Palisades there. But yeah, the Portsmouth Palisades were just able to push back in. I think at that point, Jorving probably just need to take a step back and just contest mid, because as I said, you know, they've got a Dynamo and they have a BP, and Portsmouth Palisades, you probably know where they're going to be coming back from. So, you know, you don't really have to push them too hard unless it's like absolutely the last 5-10 seconds of the game. But there was a little bit more time left for them to do that. And yeah, whoever was pushing up for Jorving got punished. And it did mean Portsmouth Palisades, who, to their credit, they are quite coordinated, this team. You know, they have played together quite a lot, these players. And yeah, Jorving did get punished. But it was again close. It did look like they were going to take that for a while. But it is Portsmouth Palisades that take the Turf War mini set and game 1 of the entire set. Very much looking, after losing a devastating game 5 just then to Section 8, they are definitely looking to get this win to, you know, contend for top 4. I don't really know how many wins these teams are going to need to get top 4, because it's Swiss, but we're playing 9 rounds of Swiss when there's only 13 teams, so it's quite hard to kind of predict how many wins these teams are going to need. I mentioned Section 8 as well, who did just beat this team in game 5. They've already got 3-0'd before this game even started by Anarchists. So Anarchists are just continuing their ridiculous tear they're on. They haven't dropped a game yet this tournament, and they're already on to week 6. But yes, back to this game, these two teams both vying for top 4, and it is Portsmouth Palisades who have the advantage just as we go into, what is the mode again? Tower control. Are we going to see Hagglefish again?
I mean, I hope for our sakes, no, but maybe these teams are, I don't know what is possessing everybody to necessarily pick it. I think that there are stronger picks. You see Inkbot Art Academy is also legal there, Mart as well, but people just, maybe it's because it's so hot outside, it's the summer, that people, they want a little cold, they want the snowball.
Yeah, quite possibly. But Macamart has like a freezer section. I mean, it's called freezer. The call out for it is freezer. We can go there.
I'm sure there's AC in there. I know there is.
Well, we know they're going to go there for zones actually, because we've copied, we've mirrored the previous match so far. So we'll go to Macamart after this, I'm pretty sure. But Yeah, Hagglefish is the pick from Jorving Ducklings as we go into the ranked modes. Are they gonna switch anything up? I'm not entirely. Is Sports of Palisand's gonna switch anything up, or is everyone in this match just kind of comfortable with the weapons they're on? It is always an interesting aspect of these NSE tournaments. You know, some teams just play completely different kind of turf war weapons, and then they switch it back. I really feel like for ranked modes, at least, Duda is going to go back on that arrow spray. I mean, that silver arrow, it can catch people out. That reef slider, that's one of those devastating specials that can just get 2 or 3 randomly.
A little, I feel Roof Slider is a little less seen on something like tower control. I mean, I'm sure it being the signature, you just kind of go with your tried and true, but also a golden arrow spray, I think you often see people just wanting to spam those GG Booyahs if they can get their hands on it. On something like a tower control, I have to wonder if we're going to see a return of the golden dynamo, the one with chump that we saw, I think, on the side of Jorving Ducklings. I think the chumps are likely in play for turf war, so maybe something that's a little less paint heavy and a little better at killing. But ultimately, Jorving was going into this with a lot of the range advantage, and it wasn't super working to their advantage. But I kind of got derailed there because we're talking about an aerospray. Duditude essentially is playing with what I'd consider one of the opposites of aerospray. Like, this is not a quick, fast painting weapon. It is low-ranged weapon. They've come to the party with a pretty nasty backline, going up against, instead of that golden dynamo, a golden nautilus instead, so they'll be able to use that splashdown. And I said instead, but that is entirely incorrect because it is still there. Double gold here.
Wow. That's a very good start for Jorving Ducklings. They have switched their comp up quite a lot. Yeah, the gold dynamo. I made a mistake previous game. I was saying it had whale. That's the stars dynamo. This one does have chumps, as you said. And they've got a tri-slosher, which is my main, so it's nice to see that today. The V-Tri, which you don't see too much, but yeah, I do really like it with Mist and, of course, Inkjet, which Yoshi, that was the BP, actually. I mean, I only know them as a BP, but clearly I'm wrong about a lot of these players. Duditude is playing Hydra, and Yoshi is now playing V-Tri. But Duditude looking pretty confident on the Hydra right now. I mean, to be fair, they do have Sneaky on the Luna. They do already have that kind of, you know, frontline aggression, which the Luna is very good at. But of course, with Palisand's quickly taking command of this game, about to get through that second checkpoint, which we mentioned in the previous set is the difficult one to get through. Sneaky's stand, well done by Lander to stop that. I think that is going to be the end of the push. They do get it past that second checkpoint, but they don't push it too far past that. And Jorving Ducklings, I would say they at least have some fairly decent tools to push that top right area if they're able to get there. With Inkjet especially, Landers splashdown not able to take out Starletto, but they do follow it up and they live, so they're still able to help in mid. Pretty neutral right now. Duditude is taking an aggressive position with the Hydra, and he could actually get some value out of that as all of the teammates come to help. But yeah, it's pretty neutral. We're about to be halfway through the game, and Jorving haven't broken a checkpoint yet.
Yes, we have that hammer throw not quite getting anything either. All the while, Duditude goes down on the tower. That cooler goes out, but with no one to grab it, and a delayed wipeout. Not even delayed. A perfectly timed wipeout is going to happen. Who I believe he said is a BP player, but I think that may be an error. They are an Inkjet player. Because the fact that they are switching to something that is really not similar, but have kept the special may be that is where their real comfortability is, supposedly. So maybe a shout out to you with your favorite special. But all the while, they have stopped that push. I think one of the most difficult checkpoints being right under that tent, especially when you're up against really aggressive Hydra like that. You're gonna have to really, it's requisite to get them down if you break that checkpoint. 2 of the members, just like that in Portsmouth, go down, allowing Jorving to restart their push as they get into mid. But ultimately, I think Duditude having all of this range and having all power is just making it super difficult to move forward. They have the Inkjet for out that can displace them finally. A Booyah comes out, basically eliminating anyone who was standing near that tower, and the other Inkjet coming out from this umbrella allows them to take mid and continue a push of their.
Yeah, Jorving, they're kind of they're so close to getting the kind of what do you call it? The names, the words got out of my head. Coordination, that's the word. They're so close to having that coordination, but it's just lacking a little bit against this Portsmouth Palisades team that is, coordinating enough in defense. They know where to go. They just can't lock down that top right on their pushes, and it has now gone back in the way of Portsmouth Palisades, who are trying to extend their points here, but they have lost 3 players against Jorving, although it's the oh no, never mind, the Dynamo's on their team. What am I talking about? But the caller is up, so it's now is the time for Jorving Ducklings to lose their Tri-Slosher player, I guess, who did go down. Hopefully they were caller, they were, so they are going to come back in with Inkjet pretty quickly, trying to take up the winner, but they've lost 2 players. I think the Tri jumped in and just went down immediately again. The Nort is going to try and use this splashdown aggressively. They just keep trying to swim forward and get something with the splashdown, but they're not able to. They have to deal with Duditude, I feel, because Duditude has just been very comfortably sitting back this entire game. They know they outrange everyone on Jorving by quite a lot. 10 seconds left, and Jorving have to go for this tower.
Yes, they do get it, so they are going to probably trigger this overtime as they go, but that splat on the tower is going to make it all the more difficult. Now it's the Nautilus that gets there. They're going to have to basically 1v1. They splash down to keep themselves alive while they wait for their teammates to cover. And huge yet is that they get that Inkjet down, so they are in one of the most difficult spots. But the GG Booyah at this last second, panic popped, is going to end that overtime run for York. So Portsmouth Palisades getting another point on the just barely with that clutch play.
Yeah, that was a messy end to that game. I don't know how Jorving Ducklings managed to get one more shot there, but for a while it looked like they might do it. But I think again it was just Duditude. They kind of sat in one place. They had BR bomb and they were able to throw it. But I mean, it was a valiant final attempt because they never really had a full lineup for that. They did lose players. They were constantly staggered, but the Nautilus was able to kind of live tower for a while, almost taking out the Inkjet themselves and then just using their splashdown to survive. And they almost got it done. But yeah, it was kind of, as I said, they definitely had chances to push up, but they weren't able to lock down that top right area, which is where, a player like Duditude on the Hydra is. They're just going to go and you can't really challenge it. The Inkjets were never really coming out at like quite the right time. But I think besides that, they were also very staggered. I think both teams were. It was a bit of a death match. This one, I feel. A lot of players just falling everywhere. But Portsmouth Palisades got that early push, and that was all they needed. Really, they kind of just sat comfortably after that.
Yeah, this is kind of how the Robo Ramen game played out. It was really dominant for Portsmouth for most of the game, and then I feel like this one final last second push comes out of Jorving that looks like it might actually be able to take it all, but just a counterattack by Portsmouth just puts the kibosh on it, shuts it down, and gives them the game ultimately. I think really the win state for the entirety of the is to make sure that they took Duditude offline. Having all of the range and the power really kept them in check a lot of the time. The only person on their team to deal with it was their Tri-Slosher, basically with their special, to try and just like get them out of place, get them down, because between those chumps, a really slow moving Dynamo, unfortunately, a Nautilus has splashdown, and they just don't have the range to deal with it. And I think that's probably what Portsmouth was banking on when they had Duditude switch onto Hydra.
Yeah, I feel like there was one point in that game for Jorving's kind of first push they had where Yoshi was kind of right on top of where Duditude was setting up on the top right, and they popped Inkjet, but they had to just direct them. If they didn't direct them, they were going to get splattered, and it is quite difficult to do on Inkjet, and they weren't able to do it. Maybe they would have, opened the way for a lead with that one, but it wasn't quite there as we move into game 3. I'm just going to check if Jorvink have picked yet. Oh, we're not going to Mako. It's not going to be a complete dupe of the previous game. It's going to be Umami Ruins, which I think that's a reasonable pick. I know Duditude hasn't really been playing the aerospace too much, but you have to consider that they do play it on splat zones. I mean, Umami Reef Slider is immediately kind of nerfed on Umami because it can't just cap the zone because there are 2 zones.
Listen, Conroe, often this comes up in conversation. Reef Slider, it's not going to be able to. But I just have 4 flashbacks to when I was an attorney and we were having trouble against a Dreadringer who kept sliding the zone, and we said, oh, it's Umami. Finally, we have a breather. And you know what? They queued in with 2 Reef Sliders. I have never felt dread like that, no pun intended, in my life. So every time I'm like, well, they can't cap this zone, I think, maybe someone just switches the Dreadring and they double time the evilness, but likely not going to happen here. Perhaps they keep the Reef Slider, not for capping this, just for when you do that Reef Slider, sometimes blind spot that the center stack has, you can kind of catch people off guard and get them in that sort of way. I think so it helps you to clear that choke point out of your spawn as well if you're getting a lot of pressure there, but would not be surprised certainly if the is to Hydra. I think having a Booyah can be throwing it on away from, but a weapon I don't think I have ever seen anyone any competitive environment. It is a custom goo tuber out of Sneaky. I don't even know what to say about this. What are we looking at?
No, me neither. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's no Reef Slider, so I won't continue talking about that. But yeah, we do see a goo tuber, and it's paying off so far because 2 players are down for Jorvink Duckling. Sneaky has been playing well this set. They were on the Luna last time. They are now on the goo tuber, the one with Ultra Stamp, which is, still a decent special as long as it doesn't get caught out by shots, I guess. But it is a very good entry tool. Aardvark on the Zap just trying to make space for them. They are 2 players down now, Portsmouth Palisades. Copper on the Dynamo just trying to bring in. They have chumps ready as well. They've lost a player trying to come back in though, and I think Palisades have kind of just jumped back in, and Sneaky has actually charged at them. Oh, that could be a triple. This could be a triple. It's a triple. That's a quad. Oh, Sneaky just got a quad on the custom YouTuber build, 2 with the hammer and then 1 with the follow-up on the BR, and then they sniped the last one. They are aura'd. Oh, this is devastating for Jorvink. They just can't get back in. They've lost 2 players again. I think this is going to be over very quickly. Oh, my goodness.
Is brutal. I don't know, with love and respect, whether it's worse to just kind of go down in that game or to know that there's footage of down to a custom tuber. That is very, very difficult pill to swallow. 100 to 0 knockout, especially on a counter pick against. But in all fairness, I don't think that there's any sort of anticipation that you into this game with regarding what comp was run. So I think Umami Ruins, it does have that double, easier for you to neutralize and kind of stop the bleeding, but the trade-off is that you have that choke point, and you see the members of Portsmouth Palisades moving up into that choke point, disallowing anyone from getting even close to zone. Especially with Sneaky just being a watchful eye with this aggressive special, it made it so that it was just kind of impossible to do practically anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was just a really unfortunate moment that kind of sealed the game there, which was that Ultra Stamp came out, 3 players on Jorvik just kind of retreated to exactly the same area. They all bunched together. It would have been an immediate triple if one of them hadn't B-yard, but they got kind of immediately punished after it anyway. But yeah, that definitely just sealed the deal for Portsmouth Palisades. Yeah, custom YouTuber, an interesting pick. I don't think I'm inclined to say that would normally come out if we're being serious about winning. You know, Palisades got beat in Game 5 last set, but they still don't care. But hey, they won. They won. So I can't comment too much on it because it worked out for them. That stamp was huge.
Yeah, you still have to keep a bit of I suppose, when you can afford it. I saw dude go from Hydra to Sploosh. And
They're versatile. Versatile, very
yeah,
versatile player.
clearly very versatile players. So really strong playing clearly from Palisades. They came out of that game and they said, you know what, let's just have fun, and clearly they did. So that's strong on them. But another 3-0 in the books. We have one set left. We can just throw that to another break. Go ahead and get yourself a snack. Make sure to hydrate. It is summer, and we will be right back with more NSE.
Welcome back, everyone, to the NSE UK Splatoon University League Summer Edition. We are getting ready for our final match of tonight. It is the second week of Swiss. Next week will be the last week of Swiss before we go into top 4. But I am Conro. I am joined once again by Sasu. For the last game, we are going with Anarchists, who are our only team to win all of their Swiss matches so far. I don't think they've even dropped a game. They just won 3-0 very quickly against Section 8. And they will be playing... the full name is Urawawa Alumni, assuming the alumni part is because we can play with alumni because it's a summer edition, but historically they are just Urawawa. So I'm going to just shorten their name to that. I hope they don't mind me doing that. But yeah, Sasu, we're seeing Anarchists on again, and Urawawa have just lost to Solent Cardinals 3-2. It was very close. I did say Anarchists and Solent Cardinals were going to comfortably be the top 2, but maybe not. So let's see what Urawawa can do against Anarchists.
Yeah, it's gonna be really exciting because they, even though they went down against a team so difficult to fight, so of course we do start off with Turf War as we always do in a best of 3. Hence the use of the reflex. Every time I see that, it reminds me.
Yeah, of course we do see a reflux on Turf War, quite common. But hey, it's not Mahi Mahi Resort. We're at the airport instead. We've been talking about hot weather. I guess we're gonna just go on holiday somewhere instead. Fly somewhere on good old vacation. But yeah, Urawawa against Anarchist. Very different kind of map. This one. It's all about just taking control of this spinner to get to the other side of the map. There's probably going to be a lot of fighting mid. Snipes on the bow, which they are often on pretty much in any mode, not just Turf War, but it is a common Turf War pick for them. Once again, they have way more range than anyone on Urawawa, actually. Urawawa are bringing a very fast, very short range comp. I think their longest range here is probably the Reflux, unless the T-Tech outranges it. But yeah, I think it is the Reflux.
Ali, you certainly don't want, or I guess they do want all of their range to. 2 of their members are down. They have this Booyah Bomb out once again. No doubt going to be probably spamming that throughout the entirety of the game. And they try to throw it and jump out, but they immediately just kind of get knifed down by the spines, the bow. So it seems as though Urawawa have really been struggling the entire time. They have their arrow spray still up, but Nebula being on the enemy grates, I feel like anytime you see Nebula, they're just going to confuse you as to what side of the map we're on, because they're just so aggressive in the enemy spawn, being exactly where you do not want them to be, that it just disorients you. They get that pick, they're still holding their space, where in the final minute they do go down to this Booyah Bomb. That's going to be huge, getting them out of that space. That active hammer goes down as well, and I think finally a little bit of space to breathe in it.
Yeah, that's a very good time to get a double pick, and that is another one as well. And this is where they need to just maybe hold ground for a little bit, although, to be honest, for this comp, maybe that's not the play, because they don't really have any range, and Nebula has quickly countered this whole move. Although they do get taken out by Kildy, cleaning up, it's 2v2, although a lot of the map right now is still in Anarchist's favor, but Urawawa players were able to jump in, as was Tame for Anarchist. This is all going to be about this last little fight, and they needed that pick on Snipes, and they're not able to get it. Meanwhile, Rhythm is fighting on this other side against Archive on the roller. It's going to be pretty neutral. Anarchists have lost 2 players. They've lost 3 players. Is this going to be it for Urawawa? This is a great chance to paint up. Snipes is desperately keeping mid. They have to get someone to paint over what Snipes is doing. Huge last team fight, but have they done enough to take game 1 against Anarchists here?
We're gonna see. It's looking very close. And we have that 48.9. All that work they put in despite getting splatted at the end, really showing out for them. And I think the opposing members that were up, like, I think we saw the bow up, but just not really able to get that much paint down. Like, they were standing in a pool of their own ink, really. So a lot of the spines they were sending out were in places that were already inked. And I think plus having that roller still alive, I think if that roller is down, we just have a loss on our hands. So that puts Anarchist at advantage in this set heading into Mahi. And they're looking to continue their streak of not dropping a single game, though they did get close.
Yeah, it was very close, and even though game one wasn't on Mahi Mahi, we've immediately just gone back to Mahi Mahi. So we have seen Mahi turf every set this evening, which is quite funny. But yeah, Uwawawa, really valiant effort. It's worth saying as well, if you go even further back, 4 of the last 5 NSEs were won by these 2 teams, because last one was Solent Cardinals, the 2 before that were Anarchists, the 2 before that was Uwawawa. Actually, they did have their time in NSE before the big 4 teams came in. I'm going to law drop now on NSE. The big 4, everything changed when the big 4 attacked. But yeah, for like quite a few seasons, it was basically Anarchists, Solent Cardinals, Portsmouth Paladins, whichever the top Portsmouth team was, and Tentacle Nuke Inkbound, which was the Manchester team. It would you would always see those 4 in like the final 4, the top 4 of the tournament. I don't know what it was. Maybe rosters changed and Uwawawa didn't quite reach that again. Tentacle Nuke Inkbound aren't actually playing in this one. Don't know why they're just not here. And of course, Portsmouth Palisades, or Portsmouth in general, their roster isn't quite here either. So this does open the way again for Uwawawa to kind of challenge again and get into that top 4. And they barely lost to Solent Cardinals just then, game 5, and they lost by 3 points in Clan Blitz, and they've almost taken, what was it, like less than 2%. So they're going to fancy their chances here. I like the comps they're running as well. Just I don't know if they do this in ranked mode, but this is just pure diving frontline, and especially for Turf War Sasu, it's a lot of paint as well.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. These are the weapons that you look really favorably on when you're playing something like Turf. It feels like a no-brainer having the Reflux, which is probably the best painting weapon in the entire game, next to Aerospray, which is just going to put the paint down, send out the booyah, rinse and repeat. But right off the top, it just seems there's been a little bit of a struggle for Uwawawa to really break out, and I feel like to do so, those strikes kind of created a wall to keep them in place. So Mess at the side there, going to try and panic pop those, getting a trade out of it, but obviously going down themselves. But I feel like little by little, we're seeing way more purple. They're losing a lot of their fights, but the fact that they're able to get some paint out there and keep a presence, they haven't really touched mid, but they're painted practically up to it in a lot of ways. It's really impressive. Going to be curious to see how this continues and able to actually really break into this midpoint.
Yeah, they tried it there with a BR bomb. I think that the arrow probably should have just stayed on the plat waiting to use the BR, because they actually got taken out by Nebula's splashdown. Ooh. But never mind that, they have actually managed to take 3 out. Can they push Snipes now, who has been just a really solid out? Yes, they can. Tame was able to jump in, but this is a really important pick on them, and they got it as well. Taking out Snipes is absolutely huge, because they were the solo reason that Anarchist won last time, because no one on Uwawawa noticed they were still painting mid on Marlin Airport, but they have taken him out. Now, curious to see what they do here, because they don't really have any range. I don't know what their bomb output is here. Oh wow, I thought Mess was going to fall into the water, yeah. But they survive. They are the one with the splat bombs, and it's good on this map when they're coming back in. Just throw bombs up there. Rhythm is going to drop and take this fight. This is a really important fight. They're helped by Nebula, though. Good teamwork, and that is 2 down to Uwawawa, 3 down. I think it's going to turn the other way, Sasu, and they don't have long to turn this back around.
Ooh, Nebula picking up that last pick to trigger that wipeout is going to put them right back where they started before. Saw that really epic push happening, and we get a kind of call out here that works out really well. Ultimately, they go down to that bow as well, and we have entered the final 30 seconds. So once again, Uwawawa keeping a good presence. They do not have Anarchist on their plat, which is going to be huge for them, especially they've gotten 2 people down with 15 seconds remaining, and the Nautilus. This may be the first time we see Anarchist drop a game. People are jumping in, but they are very quickly being taken care of. However, those chumps come out, going to put a little bit more paint down, and it's looking way more even than you would think it would be if the bow did not go down. So obviously it's going to be up to Judd and Little Judd what this ends up being, but just by like less than 1%, I think Anarchists somehow still keep their streak running, coming out on top in this mini turf.
Wow, that I mean that's one of the craziest turf war mini sets I've seen in NSE, and it was a 2-0. I mean, I think altogether that was less than 3%. Like across both games, there was less than 3% in both of those win margins, and both it was kind of eerie how similar they both were. It was just 4v1. Well, I mean, Snipes was definitely the only one alive for Anarchists, and they just desperately painted, and it was enough to get the job done. That was just it's insane end to both games. They were definitely, I think in Marlin they just didn't, I don't think anyone realized Snipes was mid. If someone realized Snipes was mid, they might have been able to paint over it. I think in Mahi Mahi Resort they definitely noticed, because they were trying to take out Snipes, and that would have stopped the jumps as well, but they just weren't able to do it and get the paint in time. Very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, this would have been 2-0 to Uwawawa on another day, I think, because there was just nothing in it.
Absolutely. They're all on that right side, and I think if they shift left, notice the bow, and get that bow down, it is a win in the bag for them. It's so unfortunate because I feel like Uwawawa did exactly what it is that they needed to do. You have to get those picks in the last 15 seconds, almost to the second. They did exactly that. They had a bit of a struggle. They never let them get too overwhelmed throughout the game. I think once you have the enemy on your plat, you're breaking out of that is going to be difficult. But they had paint where it had to be. Even when they were on the back foot, they got the picks. But, you know, it's not just about getting the picks. It's getting the picks on the right people. Because if the people who are still up can, you know, obviously there's no blaster here. But for example, you want to leave the blaster alive and not necessarily because they might still cause issues for you. So really clutch there. Gotta especially hurt Uwawawa, seeing as though they had a clutch loss in that last set. But obviously we still have more Splatoon to play. Back to the old tried and true power control hagglefish. Maybe some light shopping before we get to the real AC shopping in Mako Mart.
Six tower maps to choose from, and everyone just wants to pick Haggle. We've seen it in every single set tonight. We're not going to see any other map for tower control. Everyone loves it here. And it's again though, I'd say it's an interesting pick from the team that doesn't really have any range against, you know, you're playing 2 players that have a lot of range and they're very strong at it, you know, midline Nebula Nort and Snipes Pen. I feel like it can just be very easy for them to set up, but Uwawawa, I mean, the comp is kind of worked for them on turf war. You know, they can just take them by surprise. Archive is just suddenly able to get in places you don't expect them on that roller. But Tame and Rhythm are both flanking on the left-hand side here, and Uwawawa all bunched up, which means they can at least play together. Archive with a pretty good bubble. Rhythm's Kraken makes them live, and Archive does get taken out. Kildy is going to challenge Snipes, unfortunately not getting that. And it's just one up the T-Tech. It's pretty much a delayed wipe. The first push is again going to go to Anarchists.
Yes, getting some actual points on the board, and you see that they have their pen in position, so they're trying to counter Mess, who just does dive the tower. Only the zap is going to be up, and I think having that rain active is going to put even more pressure on Uwa. So now is time where it's get really. Hagglefish has one of the nastiest lockouts that you can have. You have a Kraken looking you down along with just a bunch of other strong players. The Gal is still alive. Gal has probably some of the most devastating kill power for any shooter in the entire game, so you don't want that guy up either. And just one by one, members are going down like dominoes. Once you are past that tent, this is going to be practically an impossible tower to stop unless you get your hands on that Booyah Bomb or get the requisite picks like they have. They're being wailed from the side, so still not out of the woods, but really, well, it just feels like they're trying to stop the bleeding here.
Yeah, I mean, Tame, they didn't get rid of Tame. They managed to stop tower, but Tame was on top right, and everyone just kind of jumped back to them. And it is, again, only 2 players alive. This BR bomb might get shredded. It didn't actually get shredded, but they BR bomb just to protect themselves. And it was actually a decent play because they stayed alive. They do get taken out eventually, though. And it is 2 down again for Uawawa. And Anarchists just aren't going to let this tower get reset back to mid. They are going to continue to push, continue to push, just continue to stagger Uawawa. 2 players down again for them. No, Snipes is going to retreat. I think they just, Snipes, as soon as they see the players down, they just retreat. And it's just immediate jumps back in. You know, there's just that kind of intelligence of a top player to be able to do that. They know they're the anchor, and it is just so easy for their team to jump back in because the other team doesn't really have much to deal with it. They have bombs, but they just don't have any range. You know, the best they can do is just try and rush it down, maybe through the roller, through a curling bomb or something. But Snipes is just having a very simple game of it right now because they just, no one on the other team has any kind of range to deal with them.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, you can really see the power of Anakin. Oh, really armed with a lot of tools for retake. They have a GG Booyah, they have GG Strikes, they have a lot of things that should make it so that they can take space for free, and yet it's not working out for them. This wipeout is probably going to speak the end for them, especially Nebula on this top right where people spawn in. So, you know, once you get past that tent, really difficult to turn the game around, and it seems though they kind of had a foot on their neck this entire game. They couldn't really get out of spawn, and this is why I'm very puzzled at the Hagglefish picks. I think the lockout can be so brutal and difficult to stop the bleeding once it starts, so I think we unfortunately saw that a little bit here with Uawawa.
Yeah, quite possibly. I did think it was an interesting pick. I don't have the map pool to hand, so I'm not sure what the other options are. I know Mako Mart was one, possibly Tau. Oh, you've got them, okay.
TC, we have Hagglefish, of course. You might think that's the only choice, but we also have available Undertow, Inkblot, Mako Mart, Manta Maria, and Shipshape Cargo.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's quite tough regardless with the comps you're running. Maybe Mako or Manta would give these short range frontlines a bit more protection on where they go. I feel like Mako Mart would be probably much simpler for our roller. You know, you just throw a curling bomb around one of the 2 alleys to the side. Just keep doing that. It'll probably work at some point. Well, we're going there now. Of course we are. We're going there for Splat Sims.
Conroe, I think the pro strat is just with this heat, you do all your outside shopping, and then you end it off with the cool air-conditioned halls of the market, you know, the indoor market. So now that we've gotten whatever fruits and what have you at Hagglefish, we make our way into Mako Mart, and now I have to wonder whether there are any switches. I think everyone feels pretty maybe secure in what they have, but we saw a gal that we didn't see before, I think, that's been switched onto. And yeah, I think AoE is strong here. You have the roller that's going to be super useful for ledging out that pen that has all of the space, but ultimately I think Uawawa, more than just, oh, it's Mako Mart, maybe we need AoE, what they're really going to have to contend with is how they sort of manage who's up and who's not, because I feel like a lot of those turf games, and maybe partially even that last game, has come up to like who is being left alive, who is like the priority. Obviously they're all strong players, but I think there needs to be an assessment of the win condition and exactly who has to stay down in a game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do like that they've switched to a splash. They do. Okay, the splash has been taken out, but if we ignore that fact, I like that they kind of have a crab tank now. They have a special that's really good, and like it has range. You know, that is going to be something for them. Archive just trying to live, that they know they're there on the roller. I don't know how they survived all that, but they are still living. But unfortunately, they do eventually go down to Nebula. But besides that, yeah, it's kind of the same deal, just a lot of short range. And I mean, already Anarchist have kind of got set up pretty well here. They're going to have to think of something to do here, or against, you know, the team that has been the strongest in NSE for like the last kind of whole season. If you take every season together, and they're really struggling or to come back in. They managed to kind of come back in Turf War almost twice, but they're really struggling here. Nebula finally goes down, but they have to somehow get rid of Snipes. I mean, this could be over really quickly. They're starting to come back in. Are they going to be able to paint? Strikes come out. Everyone is around tower. Are they going to flip it? Are they going to flip it? I don't think they are.
They have these strikes out here, but I don't think they have the manpower to paint over it. They had to get the picks. Now 3 of them are down, so that is just going to be a 100-0 run for Anarchist, once again denying anyone from taking any sort of game on them. It got a bit close earlier on in the set, but I think as time went on, they just really showed their power, were able to dismantle the other team and just keep the ball rolling for the third 3-0 we experienced on stream so far.
Yeah, we happened to miss all of the close sets this week. There were some in the background. There was a reverse sweep I saw in the first round of the day elsewhere. I think Wawa was responsible for that, actually, but yeah, we missed them all today, sadly. But yeah, Anarchist again showing why they're the team to beat. I think they're going to be well ahead of the Swiss table at this point. And this was I feel like this was really a set where, you know, you see one team better in Turf War and then the other team better in the rant modes. It can happen. Mm-hmm. We do get sets where one team just kind of wins Turf War, but then doesn't really do well in ranked against the other team at all. I mean, Anarchist did win Turf War, but like, it was extremely close, and I wouldn't expect that from a team like Anarchist, even though it's Turf War. So, you know, Uawawa can be proud of that, at least. I mean, I think they can be proud of the day in general. They just lost to Solent Cardinals 3-2. You know, they're the reigning champions, and they almost took the Turf War point against the team that had won the previous 2 tournaments. You know, that's a pretty good showing. And as I said, they won the 2 before that, so they're trying to get back up there to challenge for this.
And you know, at the same time, it's been a long day for a lot of these. You know, having to do lots of sets. I feel like there was also a bit of a dismantling at the end there. A struggle with coordination from Wawa sometimes, where you saw every member had their spot. I think those could have been coordinated, and it didn't quite turn out. But it's difficult up against a strong team like Anarchist, or just running through everyone sort of like paper. So right now we have a bit of a race for that second place, but that will have to play out in the remaining weeks. So we are just about done here. That is going to be the stream, but before we get out of here, Conroe, go ahead and give me your plugs, because I know the people, they're going to be seeing a lot of you for sure.
Yeah, so on Blue Sky, I'm just Conroe, CONRO, SPL.bsky, and I do stream on Twitch as well, whether it's comp or sometimes I just stream solo or whatever. That's just twitch.tv/Conroe. And yeah, Sasu, what about you? Where can the people find you online?
You can find me at Sasu in Your Pants, SASUIN, the letters UR, pants, and also maybe unlikely, but if you happen to be in the US or visiting the US, in the New York City area, there's going to be a LAN, a major gridlock. I'm going to be there and commentating second day. So if you're able to somehow come and attend, that would be great. And also I'll give a shout out to our streamer in the background, Ryan, making sure to get us those replays and make sure that everything else is running. But speaking of which, want to make sure that Conroe and Joe Ryan are able to run to whatever engagement that they have after this and not yap too much. So I hope everybody enjoyed the stream. Be sure to join us next time for more NSE.